Would you like to live your best life possible, regardless of your imperfections? Discover cutting-edge tools and inspiration to let go of your limitations and expand your life beyond what you've ever imagined. On Imperfect Brilliance, we help you tap into your unique gifts and talents, uncovering and letting your brilliance shine. Join certified facilitators and coaches Betsy McLaughlin and Kathy Williams to delve into different areas of your life, get unstuck, and create the life that is truly possible for you. These joyful ladies have changed their lives by utilizing the tools and techniques they share with you. What if your willingness to acknowledge your brilliance is the catalyst to creating a new reality? When you stop judging you, what else can you create in your life and in the world? Join Kathy and Betsy live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to create magical and joyous possibilities for an hour of laughs, questions, tips, and more. We are excited to contribute and play with you.
Hello, everybody. This is Kathy Williams. Thank you for listening to Imperfect Brilliance. I'm here with Betsy McLaughlin. I think I haven't heard from her yet.
Hello.
So, hey,
I'm here.
Hello. Awesome. Okay. Our conversation today is around self-sabotage. Why do we do it? What, these actions like maybe overeating when we were going to follow the best eating plan in the world, or drinking or procrastinating or going on Facebook when we'd really like to get this project done. So many different things. Overeating from stress, sometimes even just creating conflict with other people or, negative thinking can be what sabotages us. So we're going to delve into some of the big reasons people do self-sabotage and then what we can do to change it, because I think that's a big thing. If you're interested in this conversation, it's probably less about why you do it and more about okay, what can I change? How can I change it? And so we'll definitely get there. And before we do, Betsy, would you like to talk about us a little bit?
Sure. What would you like to know?
Yeah, who are we?
Oh, my goodness. Who are we today? Today, we're very joyful and so happy to be here with you all. We are, as our promo says, as we're coming into the show, we are coaches and we are certified facilitators with Access Consciousness, which is a whole huge body of tools that we play with that have dynamically changed our lives. And we are also so many other things. We wear a lot of hats and have a lot of fun doing and wearing all of these hats. So for people to find us, you can find us a lot of ways. On Facebook, we do have an Imperfect Brilliance Facebook page. We also have personal pages. Kathy Williams, Kathy with a K, and Betsy McLaughlin, which is a little bit of a different spelling. It's McLoughlin. A lot of people do the AU, which I think is a more common version of the spelling. And let's see, what else? How else can they find us? Our personal websites is Kathy's is meetkathywilliams.com, which is such a fun name, by the way. So it's Kathy with a K and Williams. She does have the S at the end of her name. And then mine is creatingyumminess.com. Lots and lots of ways to find us. And we love to hear from you. Please reach out and say hello. We love to talk to you. Anything you'd like to add there?
Oh, I think you were quite thorough, Miss Betsy. The only thing I want to add is really we do take your ideas into consideration. A client I was talking with mentioned, his empathic abilities just really, mess him up and make him feel rotten. And I did a class on help. I'm an empath. And of course, we take your ideas into consideration for the shows as well. So please feel free to reach out to us in any of those different ways and give us your ideas or what you'd like to hear, because we really do implement those when they kind of pop. Sometimes it's time for an idea and it's implementation, and sometimes it's like, hold off on that one. Maybe if you're talking about overeating because you're at family parties, maybe Christmas is a better time for that sort of topic rather than like August. So we do them when they pop, and please be patient with us if you've recommended an idea and we just haven't done it yet. It may very well be in the works. So that's really what I wanted to mention about that. Oh, wow. So have you ever sabotaged yourself or your projects, Betsy?
Never.
Me neither. Why are we having this show?
I'm not sure. And if you guys believe that, I have a couple of bridges I can sell you real cheap.
Yeah, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, and a lot of the times in the self-sabotage, certainly for me, I didn't even know I was doing it. A lot of times.
Yes.
And then other times I was aware I was doing it and I didn't want to do anything about it. So there's kind of that whole range between doing it completely unconsciously and doing it consciously and still choosing to do it. So probably everything in between, right? So what about for you?
Well, and I'm just curious, like, what kind of actions were you doing that were sabotaging? And then I'm happy to talk about how I've sabotaged myself.
Okay. Gosh. Well, we only have an hour for the show, so. Let's see. One of the ways one of the beliefs that I had when I was younger was that I was unlovable. That that people would leave me. And I came up with that brilliant conclusion when I was very young. I've always known that I was adopted. And then through a series of different things, I was actually with about 3 different sets of people before the age of 6 months old. So from hearing this story, I decided that I was unlovable and that everybody would leave me, nobody would love me, everybody would always leave me. So I was, for a large part of my life, functioning from that self-sabotaging point of view. So then I would create situations where then people would leave my life. And some of them were, right? So, and some of them could be in a more, dramatic fashion, like my first husband, he left me. And it's like, see, there we go again. Everybody always leaves me. So I had set this up, I was having that point of view. I created a lot of things that kind of kept making that happen. So that's a totally an unconscious thing that I was doing that was self-sabotaging my relationships in a lot of parts of my life.
Yeah, negative thoughts can definitely sabotage, what we're trying to create, including relationships. For me, that was the big one, especially in my career as a ballerina. I would go into rehearsals, like, what if I got the lead role in this ballet that I really liked? And I had one coach, and he was great. Really enjoyed him. He was the director of the company, positive. If we did it well, he'd be like, okay, one and done, guys. You don't have to do it again. Just take into consideration future, adaptations. Turn your head this way and maybe be a little quicker on that movement or whatever. Then he got busy, and we got this coach who was from Russia, and she was a little peeved that she herself wasn't dancing that role. Okay, so she became really mean and a stickler on all these things. And my thinking went out of control. My thinking just like, I'm a fraud, and I shouldn't be in this role, and she should be in this role, and like, why am I even doing this? And I felt undeserving, which was funny because earlier on, for, a month or so, I had felt fine and great about it. And then as time went on, I got, and this is also true of when I trained to be in a ballet competition in Finland, the International Helsinki International Ballet Competition. Same kind of thing, self-worth. I was striving to do my best, but then had this sense of inadequacy. And that's one of the big reasons people do self-sabotage is a sense of inadequacy. And also, the other one that's big, kind of related to it, is perceived fraudulence. As the bar continues to rise and you're promoted to a new position, or you obtain higher levels of education or whatever, you feel like you have further to fall if people see who you really are, or what you're, maybe that you're not as capable as they think you are, or whatever. So those two are two of the big reasons people sabotage, and there are about 3 or 4 more that we'll go into as well. But I definitely had those two going on, where it's like, why am I in the ballet competition? Oh, I'm only in the ballet competition because this, person wwho runs it likes my dancing or something. Well, is that a bad reason? Telling myself all these ridiculous things and really, kind of screwing myself over and lying in bed being nervous about the role that I was dancing in the other show in which I was being coached by this Russian woman. So definitely actions, kinds of thinking that didn't serve me. And if I had the tool, knowing that when I'm looping back or over and over around the same thing, that is called trifold sequencing systems. I could have cleared all of those trifold sequencing systems and created a lot more ease. And maybe now's a good time to introduce the clearing statement, and we can do a trifold sequencing clearing for anyone who might be doing a similar type of thing.
Awesome.
Cool. So all of the trifold sequencing systems that are creating the problem you can't seem to create beyond, will you destroy and uncreate those?
Yes. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and puck, all 9 shorts, boys and beyond. And I know a lot of our listeners know what that is, but if anybody new is like, what in the world did she just say? It is theclearingstatement.com. You can find out more information at theclearingstatement.com. It's basically designed to bypass your logical thinking mind and change the energy. So you don't have to know how it works. You just know that it works.
Yeah. And just so useful in so many ways. And so the other trifold sequencing clearing, which might be useful, is all of the trifold sequencing systems that keep you looping into the same thinking over and over. Will you destroy and uncreate that times the gazillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyond. Yeah, looping is not fun.
No.
And the funny thing is, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting like a different, and you're like, why do I keep going back to that? And that's a lot of the self-sabotaging behaviors.
Well, and the funny thing is we usually loop over and over back into the negative things. Oh, shoot, I shouldn't have said that thing in my speech. or I stuttered, and you just keep thinking over and over about that little thing or that one, oh, geez, like in a ballet, oh, I messed up that one movement, which 90% of people didn't notice, but, I would, and so I just loop that over and over in my head as though that's useful. That's not useful at all.
Mm-mm. Well, and that's what we do tend to do. So we beat ourselves up over the things that we think we did, that we did wrong, and then we just keep in that, like, it's almost, it can be quicksand of beating ourselves up over and over and over again. And then, when you're doing that, it's hard to get out of it. So I love that we're having this conversation today, giving you some ideas and tips to get out of the quicksand of beating yourself up and the self-sabotaging that you may be doing. And if you're not, kudos to you for not doing it. For sure.
Totally. And I want to come back to this idea of perceived fraudulence. And I know we have a break in just a moment. And then, when we come back, we can delve into the other reasons people self-sabotage. But, Gay Hendricks wrote this book, I think it was called The Big Leap, in which he's talking about the fact that a lot of people have this need to only create a certain amount, like a certain amount of happiness, and then not go beyond that, right? Or sabotage, to bring themselves back to a level of happiness or achievement that they're used to. We finally get the good news we've waited for, or get an amazing relationship, and then have self-destructive behaviors or negative emotions that come right after that. And part of it is because of ideas like, I don't deserve this, or this is too good to be true, or various things like that. So The Big Leap is an amazing resource if you tend to do that. And we will be right back in just a moment after this little break. Thanks for listening to Imperfect Brilliance, everyone.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hi, this is New Age Grammy winner Paul Avgerinos. Thanks for listening to OMTimes Radio, and please support my peaceful healing music with a purchase at iTunes, Amazon, or wherever you shop for fine music. Just put my name into the search engine, Paul Avgerinos. A, V like Victor, G like George, E-R-I-N-O-S. You can also visit me at roundskymusic.com. Thanks for listening, and I'm wishing you the brightest of blessings.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak.
Can we walk home?
How about a taxi?
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Welcome back, everybody, to Imperfect Brilliance. This is Betsy McLaughlin here today with Kathy Williams. And right before the break, Kathy, you were telling everybody about a book that really sounded good. Did you have more information you wanted to give us there?
Yeah, it really is a wonderful resource. If you sabotage yourself, or if you achieve things and then kind of, draw yourself back or think you can't have amazing experiences in all areas of your life simultaneously. A lot of us will maybe have a promotion or get a really great achievement, maybe something we've created in business or in our work, and then maybe create arguments in our relationship. Or one of the stories he gives at the beginning of the book is this man who develops a software company or some kind of tech company, and he almost sells it for several $1 million. But right before, the night before they were going to do this business deal, he freaked out. He freaked out and he was like, I'm going to have less vacation working for them than I've been having on my own. And he totally freaked out and called them up and sabotaged the whole deal. They were like, we don't want to do this with you anymore. And he called it his $1 million lesson, because he realized, the issue is not vacation time. It's really deeper than that. For me, it's the sense that, oh my gosh, here I am on the edge of this huge achievement, and I've got to, retract somehow. And so that he really learned a lot from that experience. I highly recommend the whole book. It's called The Big Leap. Those are two of yes, leap, like leap. L-E-A-P. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that has to do with, self-worth and then the perceived fraudulence.
Yes.
And also kind of control. And control is one of those things we really haven't touched on. But sometimes we sabotage ourselves based on the need to control something. Like, at least when I'm steering the ship, going down in flames feels more well-maintained than letting someone else take the reins, Or in my own life, an eating disorder was evidence of this, where it was like I didn't feel like I could control my career or who got home or all this various stuff, but I could control food. And so I controlled it very deliberately and to the point where, I made myself sick. I was so thin.
Right.
And so that's a huge form of sabotage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Woo.
Really, yes. So everything that's bringing up, let's destroy and uncreate it. Right.
Yes.
Wrong, good and bad. Hot talk all night, shorts, boys, beyond. And what that clearing stick does, it just clears out the energies. And you can always just say pocket pod or those weird words that Betsy and Kathy use. You don't have to know them in any exact order, but it helps to clear the energies. So definitely the energy of not deserving was coming up as you were telling that story about that guy. And, certainly in my own life, when I have felt like I didn't deserve something, then how I felt like I didn't deserve it.
You're cutting out a little bit, Betsy. Could you say that last thing the last thing again?
Oh, can you hear me?
You're in and out.
Sorry about that. There's one. It should be good now. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So what I was saying was, when you have the belief that you don't deserve something, then if you're functioning from that belief, then how much do you set up events in your life to make sure that you don't more than what you think you deserve?
Yes, you don't get more than what you think you deserve. Wow, I know
Right.
I've definitely done that one myself. Everywhere we do that. And, I've got to, before we even do a clearing, it's that deserving. I actually have a note to do a YouTube video on this today. If you're not getting my YouTube videos, head over to Kathy Williams, public figure, and subscribe, because you'll get fun little videos. But I had a note to do a YouTube video about deserving. And deserving or undeserving really is a judgment. It's like, do you deserve air? Do you deserve sunlight? Well, I mean, the sun doesn't discriminate. Oh, well, this person deserves me, and this person doesn't deserve any sunlight today, so I'm just going to, not shine over there. Right? So deserving is a judgment. Yeah.
Totally. And I love always bringing in the elements of nature, because nature does not have a point of view. Like the trees don't say, well, do I deserve to, be leaves, and do I deserve to get green, and do I deserve water? They are with nature, and they don't, so it's that when you tap into the energy of nature, there is no deserving point of view.
Right. And so all the lies of deserving or undeserving that keep us from creating, or that keep us sabotaging ourselves, will you destroy and create that times the Godzillion? Woo!
Absolutely. Wow.
Right, Ron?
Right, Ron did
that.
Oh, man. Shorts boys and beyond.
Shorts.
You got double clearings. So, Kathy, what? So we've talked a lot. So we've talked about, deserving, and we've talked about unconscious self-sabotage. And then what other forms of self-sabotage would we like to talk about today?
Well, a lot of people do self-sabotage also because it's familiar. Let's just take that guy who is going to sell his business for millions of dollars. That's a new experience, right? Receiving millions of dollars for what you've created in his world was not familiar or comfortable. So he was venturing into uncomfortable territory, and he sabotaged it. So people like consistency. We even tend to choose consistency sometimes over happiness, like all the people who stay in relationships that they don't really like because it's just comfortable, the devil you know versus the devil you don't. And maybe the one you don't is an angel, but you can't really get to know them because you're more comfortable being comfortable. So familiarity is one of those reasons people will sabotage too. Even if you're on the verge of something like, I've almost reached 120 pounds, but I've never been at 120 pounds, or at least not for 40 years. So that would be weird, and maybe I'd attract too much sexual attention, so I'm going to eat half of the cheesecake. You know, and we don't tell ourselves that consciously, but on some level it's going on. Yeah. I've never eaten half the cheesecake, but maybe like a quarter of it.
You know, right? There are so many different ways that we can self-sabotage ourselves. And, you know, so the conversation today is like, what can we do different? You know, if we would like to choose something other than self-sabotage. Because I guess the other element I would like to talk about, you know, is in the self-sabotage, how distracted are you and how unhappy are you with continuing that self-sabotage?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just out of boredom that we do it, right? Oh, I really don't want to work on this homework I have to do, or the taxes, or the boring part of the project that I'm really excited about, but this part is boring. So let me go on Facebook. Or let me open the box of chocolate truffles. That'll make this work better, right? And or watch YouTube videos, which I have been known to do. I like to watch them while I work on a project, like create a MailChimp email or something like that. I love to just listen to America's Got Talent comedians or something like that. But sometimes it can be a distraction from what I'm creating. Do you do that? Do you do any actions out of boredom? Let's see. Oh, not hearing you at all. So, gosh. And some couples even pick a fight or create drama because of boredom, right? Sabotaging just to push people's buttons or get attention. I'm not getting the attention I want, so let me be argumentative. Little things like that as well. And so we get to look at, like, what would I really like to create here? What would I really like to create? Oh, well, actually, I would like to get more attention. Is there a better way of getting that attention? Oh, well, I don't really like doing the emails, so is there someone I could hire to do that part of my business? Or is there someone I could add to my life to create more ease with this? So what could I add, or what would create greater possibilities? Betsy and I love to ask questions because we find every time we ask a question, it opens the door to greater awareness. And then the other question I would ask, in terms of like an area in which you're sabotaging yourself, is that actually something you desire? So let me put it this way. If I'm working toward being an accountant, which you will never see me do because I don't love numbers like that, and I'm not showing up, not doing the work, not putting in the time, I get to ask myself, is this something I truly desire? And then as I look at that, it could be like, oh no, my dad desired that for me. Or, oh no, I just thought if I got a good job as an accountant, it would make me the money I require and be stable. And so instead of being an accountant, your true desires are stability and having a certain amount of money. And there are thousands upon thousands of other ways you could get that, not just the direction you've set out in. So when we are sabotaging, it can be really useful to start to look at, is this something I truly desire? You know, even me in dancing, and now I hear you, Betsy. As I was getting better and better roles, I still wasn't happy. And if I had looked at, well, is this truly my desire? right? I'm dancing Juliet, the lead role in Romeo and Juliet. I'm dancing the Sugar Plum Fairy. I'm dancing all these things, but I'm not actually happy. And I'm starting to sabotage it in certain ways. Like, is this still something that I love? Is this still something that's fun for me? Or am I kind of done? And it's okay. You know, I mean, you don't have to judge yourself if you're just done with something. And you don't have to sabotage yourself until, you know, it's like a scapegoat. Well, of course it didn't work out, right? Of course it didn't work out. Of course I failed. It's just like, no, if you're not interested in it, okay, what else could you choose? Not making yourself wrong.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, what could you choose instead of making yourself wrong? And that's, to me, like, that was one of my defaults. I definitely made myself wrong for every choice I made or didn't make. You know, again, you know, it's like the self-fulfilling, self-sabotaging. So in that, there wasn't a lot of space for really even having freedom to choose, or to even, in some aspects, to even know what I really desire to choose.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is that you say there's not the space to choose, to, you know, to choose or see what you desire to choose. And I think that is a creation, or that is a lie we tell ourselves, right? I mean, we could be in the car looking at, like, well, what do I truly desire? What would I like to choose? Especially if no one else's point of view were in the room with me. What would I choose? And that's not to exclude people, but it's just to get real clarity on what's true for you. And
yes. And I was just going to add, you know, choosing for you. Are you willing to choose for you no matter what anybody else thinks or says? And that in itself can be something that's daunting for a lot of people. And it's been daunting for me at different points.
Mention again that doesn't mean excluding people or their point of view. And we can talk when we come back about choosing from the kingdom of we, so that we include everyone, including ourselves. Because sometimes we kind of include everyone except ourselves, and that doesn't do the world good either. So we'll talk about that when we get back. Thanks a bunch, everyone, for listening to Imperfect Brilliance. We'll be back in a moment.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living. A chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
Hi, this is recording artist and composer Yuval Ran, inviting you to a voyage through the chakras, a new double album of guided meditations to transform your life, a sublime musical medicine for nourishing inner peace and reaching to your higher virtues. Get it now at metamindfulnessmusic.com. METTA mindfulnessmusic.com.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to
Imperfect Brilliance, everybody.
Brilliant.
It's Kathy Williams here with Betsy McLaughlin. And Betsy, have you ever gone to see Keyboard Cat on YouTube?
I have not. I keep forgetting to do that.
Oh, I did. He's adorable. And I have a cat I adopted from a shelter, too. I've had her for 20 years. That's pretty crazy. No, 18 years. That's pretty
wow.
A wonderful contribution to healing sessions for those who like cats. Not everybody does. And before we get back to our conversation, in which we're going to talk a little bit about the kingdom of we, including us in the equation, including everyone else, do you have any classes or events coming up in the near future?
Oh, gosh. I do. I have.
That was funny.
I was like, oh, yeah, I do. I actually I've got an Access Bars class coming up in November 10th in Maryland in the United States, and would love to see you guys there. And it is just a fabulous day of relaxing and learning amazing techniques. I've got a lot on the books, but they're not quite ready to announce. But I do have some specialty classes coming on creating yumminess. So you guys can kind of keep your eyes out for that. And then I'm also hosting a couple of amazing, both happen to be chiropractors and both gentlemen. The first one that I'm hosting is Dr. Andrew Gardella at the end of October in the Washington metro area for both of these classes, Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. The first one is SC, which is a body process class that is a 2.5-day class, and that is the end of October. It starts October 26th. And then December 1st, the other doctor, who's also a Dr. Anthony Mattis, and that is December 1st through the 3rd, the 3-day body process class. So all of those you can find on my business Facebook page, Betsy McLaughlin, Certified Facilitator, and you email me if you have any questions, accessbetsy@gmail.com. So lots of fun things coming down the pike.
Wonderful. And I have some things here in Hawaii. First off, if you're a planner, you can join me for Access Bars and or the Foundation in early March. And you can find all of these classes that I'm going to mention at meetkathywilliams.com. And then /upcoming, that's the upcoming classes. And Kathy has a K. So Bars and Foundation on Maui in March. And I have an Access Consciousness Foundation class here next week. So if you'd like to hop over to Maui, there are some great flight prices from the West Coast right now. You can join me for the foundation in October 16th through the 19th, and the bars is taught the day before by Rita Massey. And then in November, the Art of Living Crazy Possible with Corey Michelle. And I'm just so excited for that class. It will be oceanfront. It'll be held over the weekend starting, I believe, on the 9th. My head is not in that space right now. But so about a month from today, you can join us here oceanfront on Maui for the Art of Living Crazy Possible. And then in January, we're having a 3-day Access Body class. And that is 3 days of yumminess. Again, just steps away from the ocean and super nurturing, especially in January. Wow. Get out of the cold and come into the sun. The other thing I'm super excited right now about is the Radical Abundance online class. Currently, there's a free challenge. You can find out about it at meetkathywilliams.com/abundance. And the full class is 8 weeks of videos and meditations and live facilitation to get you out of your own way. If you sabotage yourself, jump in and create more abundance. I have your back, and you'll even have an accountability partner, and you can even bring a partner if you choose. Super fun. I've seen people create $30,000 during the program. I've seen people, I got an email last week from one of the people who did the program with me in the spring, and he said, Kathy, this is the first year I'm actually finishing the year not in debt. I actually have money. So if you're curious, if you'd like to have results like that, come over to meetkathywilliams.com/abundance. There's a low price right now, and then the price will go up. So get in on that deal and spend 8 weeks with us to change your relationship with abundance. It truly is one of my very favorite things. So we're going to talk a little bit about the kingdom of we, or choosing for that. Would you like to start us off, Betsy?
Yes. So how many of us have, we put everyone else before ourselves when we're making a choice. And we don't have ourselves in the computation or the conversation or even the thought of whatever it is that you're choosing for. So when you're choosing from the kingdom of we, you are choosing for yourself and for others. So you're including everyone in the choice. Now, it doesn't mean to say that that's always going to please everybody, but it's choosing from that space of what works for me and what works for them, as opposed to what works for me and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, or what does everybody else want and I won't even worry or think about what I would like to do in this situation. So you can see how it's a very different energy. Like one is a communion, and then the other one is an exclusion. So would you like to have communion with yourself in your life?
Nah. Okay. I'll give you an example of this. Let's say I'm a mom, and I think I have to do everything for my kids. I have to make their lunches. I have to go to every soccer practice. I have to drive them to school every day. I have to do all the stuff. And ultimately, I'm feeling drained and resentful and annoyed and peeved because I'm doing all of it. And what if instead I were willing to say, hey, what's going to create the greatest for all of us here? And I realize, oh, well, I can get them to make their own lunches. I will help, but I don't have to make them and then listen to all the complaints about, Mom, you gave me ham and I didn't want ham. And maybe you don't have to attend every soccer practice. Maybe Dad can attend some of them, and maybe they can carpool to some of them so you can go, I'm thinking of the beach. I could go to the beach or just read a book. And not have to watch the soccer practice. So, like, asking the question, what could work for all of us, includes you in the equation as well. And instead of leaving you out.
Yes,
and
that
ultimately,
really. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just resulting in less resentment and frustration and all of that. And for me, I realized, wow, I don't have to stay home with my kids all the time. I can travel the world and leave other people who they love with them, and they'll be happy and I'll be happy. And they get to watch and see that I actually don't get left out of my own life. And that ultimately creates greater for all of us.
Yes, and it's that inclusion of everyone. And so when you're including and you're in that communion space that we were just talking about, do you get like how different that is from the self-sabotaging that we've been discussing today?
Yes. Yeah. And then again, if the ideas of deserving pop in, like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't let someone else drive my kids to school. It's like, I don't deserve to have that time or whatever. It's like, is that really true? And I'm going to mention one of my favorite questions. What if that weren't so? What if it weren't true? That's you questioning your own thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a dynamic question for getting us out of those conclusions and preconceived ideas. What if that weren't so, that I don't deserve an hour to myself? What if it weren't so that I have to stay home and not travel around the world? What if it were so?
Yes. So, what would you like to choose, and that maybe you've never even allowed yourself to choose before?
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. And then, like, everywhere you sabotage you so you don't stick out, right? You don't unlevel the playing field. Mm-hmm. Will you destroy and uncreate that?
Yes.
Right, wrong, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. Yeah. I did that for years. Right? Oh, well, the other people aren't getting the good rules, so maybe and they're feeling bad, so maybe I will do my best. I mean, I didn't say that on a conscious level, but I definitely did it, where I scaled my brilliance back so that I wouldn't outshine other people. Yeah. Ever do that?
Oh, totally. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, that's where I think we started, and then the break happened, but it was like, are you willing to, choose beyond what other people, that's where we're talking about, like, are you willing to choose something that may even get you judged, or you would be sticking out or standing out, and are you willing to choose that for yourself, no matter what? And I've made some choices recently where I have been willing to choose for me when I realized that I was choosing some self-sabotaging things and not choosing things that really made me happy, and be like, okay, no matter what happens, I'm going to choose for me this time, and not cut off any more parts of myself to try to please in this situation where it was just not working for me or for the other person anymore. And so I was willing to actually be judged. I was willing to have whatever happened, and it actually turned out way better than I thought it would. I had gone into my head about how awful it was going to be and all these things, and it didn't turn out nearly as bad as I had imagined it might in my own mind.
Aren't we so cute?
We really are.
So
and I'm
cute.
Yes, and it's like, okay, so I've already, so everywhere I had decided that I already knew what was going to happen, And then it was nowhere near it. So, I was doing the clearing statement on myself quite a bit through this particular situation. And then it was like, yes, I'm ready to choose for me. And that was for me, that was a big thing. I have a lot of times in my life not been the kingdom of we and been the kingdom of everybody else. So to choose for me was such freedom and really breaking shackles that I had put around myself. And it's like, I can breathe, and now I can really choose for me and do what is fun and joyful. So I'm so grateful for this conversation today, Kathy, where, we've talked just a little bit about a lot of different self-sabotaging behaviors, and then some things that we can choose to go beyond it. And are you willing?
There's always. Go ahead.
Oh, just the only other little thing I was going to say, are you willing to be uncomfortable? And I finally was. And I'm like, yes, I am willing to be uncomfortable. And I had been willing to be comfortable for a very long time. And then it's like, okay, and now it doesn't work for me anymore. And oh my gosh, here's the end of the show. You guys, thank you so much for listening to Imperfect Brilliance. We adore you, and we're so grateful for you.
Yes, thanks, everybody. Yes, and in between, you're always welcome to find us on SoundCloud or iTunes. You can subscribe right there or at iom.fm. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next
Have a great
Tuesday.
week. Bye, guys.
Aloha.